if you were to look into your crystal ball and think ahead 2, 4, maybe 5 years out from now, how do you see the role of sales professionals in and around data centers and digital infrastructure, specifically that deal with energy and facilities, changing in the coming years?
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe the sales is still will be sales. You still have to turn leads into opportunities into a deal, into a project. So there still be the function of sales. So, but the things that we have to understand is that the consumer will get smarter and smarter as the internet will become more available for everybody, especially in Singapore, where we have the ideal situation of information flow. What I'm saying that is that if, let's say, you say something to a person, a company A today, likely that company B, C, and D might heard about the same thing next week. So maybe I'm exaggerating here, but that's what I mean by perfect information flow. So the consumer is very highly educated, so they may not need to read more brochures. Like we don't need to read them brochures, but we need to understand what is the challenge they have behind the question they ask. Because sometimes they listen to information, the YouTube and the internet. They understand that it's the product, but how can this product address the challenge? So this could be a lot of listening skill requires to active listening to understand what is the problem, and try to address that issues by understanding, what is the challenge at hand, what they have done to address the challenge, and what do they feel about it, about the solution they have. They might have done it, they have already have a solution in mind. They might have tried it, so if you just straight away selling the product, then you will not hear about all this stuff, so you want to hear what they say first, and what they have done to address the problem, and how happy they are with the solution. If they're not happy, why they are not happy. If they are not happy, have they done something about it? So keep asking kind of why and why and why, and try to learn more about the challenge they have beforehand, and the things they have done before you start selling your solutions. So that's probably my opinion of what could be the future of sales professional will look like for data center.
And that reinforces a theme that I'm hearing a lot in these interviews, is that as the self-propelled buyer's journey becomes the dominant buyer's journey, and this Gartner put out some research a couple of years ago that said that 83% of a typical buyer's journey is over before vendor contact or before they're willing to talk with someone from your sales team. As that continues to get pushed to the right, and their people are doing more and more education before they get to you, the bar is being so raised up for you and members of your team that they're just consuming so much content. And by the time they get to you, their expectations are so next level on what you need to bring to the table that it becomes increasingly difficult to stay 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of the prospects and clients to add value. And I guess this is where it becomes a challenge for a company like Siemens and for sales leaders to continue to provide the training to their team members so that they can add value that's exponentially greater than the surface level knowledge that their prospects and clients bring to the table through self-research.
Yeah, well, indeed, you're right. But we have a really, I would say Siemens is a good company. We have a lot of trainings program here to upskill ourselves, to reach out to the network. We have access to the LinkedIn platform, premium and sales navigators. So it's really good tools to understand about your market and be prepared before you meet your client. I think that's the homework you have to do before you meet anybody. I'm sure you've done a lot of homework about me as well before this interview.
Yeah, I mean, it's table stakes to now go in before anyone goes into any meeting. It's expected that you spend at least a few minutes looking at the LinkedIn profiles. And if there's multiple stakeholders, because you're fortunate enough to be meeting with the decision committee, of course, a few minutes learning about the different perspectives of individual stakeholders. And usually what ends up happening is you have one person, either their internal champion or your initial foot in the door, that can sometimes give you the lay of the land a little bit. But yeah, the tools, now that these tools exist, there's really no excuse for people to go in cold anymore. Always in CRMs too, provide a tremendous amount of detail on the kind of content that people have consumed, videos they've watched, webinars they've attended, blogs they've read, and just it's getting to the point where it used to give you a competitive advantage to do this kind of research 10 years ago. I think you're actually at a massive disadvantage now relative to other companies that approach this space if this isn't part of your overall toolkit.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like if I have to do sales 10 years ago without all these tools, like how do you know your people? How do you know what they're thinking about? What is their concern? So you have to really explain everything from scratch, and to use the word they use. Now we have LinkedIn to understand like how they phrase their posts, what are the terms they're looking at. But without that, then okay, you really takes time to get to know your clients. So, and but I guess that's I don't know, the benefit of internet today. So information flow faster, and the more dynamics in the economy.
Yeah, it's amazing in less than 20 years how much of a major part of B2B selling that LinkedIn has become. It's sometimes easy to forget how that it's only been, I think I got on LinkedIn in 2008. I think it was around for 3 or 4 years before that. But yeah, it really only hit mainstream adoption tipping point maybe in the mid 2010s. And yeah, it's to the point now where I sometimes talk with people and they're like, I don't have time to get good at social media. I'm like, you don't have to get good at all social media. Just pay attention to the one that matters the most, where your prospects and clients are. And of course, do your homework to validate it. But you're almost certainly going to find that that LinkedIn is the place that needs people's attention, both for their own personal brand and as a tool to build rapport and learn more about what their prospects and clients need.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.